Hey, what's up guys? Mahmoud Utaibi here, and in this quick video we're gonna talk about the different types of e-commerce stores that you can launch. Now, a little bit of problem here. If you go and search online, or you don't need to search, I'm sure you are already familiar with tons of different styles and ways you can launch an e-commerce business. Now, the thing is, it could be really overwhelming to understand from the inside and from behind the scenes, like how does the business work and operates. And if you are new to the e-commerce scene, it will be it's not easy for you to decide which business model is suitable for you. So I said to myself, instead of talking about all the ideas which can get us easily overwhelmed, so what about us understanding the 4 basic components which builds any type of e-commerce business? And once you understand the 4 basic components, you can somehow analyze your needs, your available resources, and from there you will be able to know easily what type of e-commerce is best for you. So guys, without further ado, let's jump into the board and we'll get started to explain the 4 or the core principles, the core components which builds up any e-commerce store. Alright guys, so right now we're gonna list the components as we said one by one. One thing to keep in mind, that every single e-commerce store out there consists of all the components together. Without any one of them, the store won't be able to make any sales. Now the key point here is that you don't need to do them yourself, although they are required for a store to start making sales, but you don't need to do them yourself. And depending on the type of e-commerce you're starting, you will see that you will see that you'll only be doing, for example, 2 components out of 4. With some of the models, you will need to do all the 4 components together. So that's how we're gonna at the end give you a little bit of examples and somehow analyze those examples depending on the components that you will be needing to do yourself. So to start with, the first component is inventory. The second component will be the first one is in inventory. The second component is operations. And I'm gonna explain a little bit of each one of them. The third component which you need to consider is the sales channel. And the final component is marketing and digital marketing. Digital marketing. Now, let's speak briefly about each one of them and see what do we actually mean by So with inventory, basically we are talking about the stuff which you are selling on your store. There are many types of inventory. Some of them they are sourced locally, some of them obviously imports from outside. You can do handmade stuff. You can launch a website with one brand only, or maybe you can launch a website with 1,000 products. Some of the websites as well are based on licensed products. Some of them are based on generic products. So there are many different types of inventory. Think of the type of inventory that you can source. Now, the second component is operations. Operations covers 2 components in reality. The first one is inventory and storage. So we have inventory, and the second component is order management. Okay, order management. Now, this is a very important factor for you to consider because not every single one of us can do inventory control and can do order management. So with inventory control, you'll be able, or you will need to actually store products somewhere, maybe in your house or in your, if you're available to rent a warehouse. So you'll need to actually store inventory. Now, the second part of operations is order management. And order management is simply the ability or the actual shipping of orders when you are receiving them. So you ship them to, you pack the product and you ship it to your customer. Of course, not everyone can do operations. There are many people that are simply having constraints. They can't do any physical storage for the products. They can't do shipping themselves. So what to do in this case? Are they not allowed to do e-commerce? The answer is no. Of course, they can still do e-commerce, as we're gonna see right now. So the third component is called the sales channels. Sales channel is obvious. It's obviously where are you planning to sell your product? Are you planning to sell your product on Amazon, on what we have here in this part of the world? We have souq.com, which is quite similar to Amazon. You're planning to sell your product on eBay. Are you planning to sell your product on your own website? Or simply, you may be selling products without even any websites, like simply social media and through what we call them, you know, there are some landing pages online that you can put your product on and drive traffic to that page and simply have sales there. So now the last component is digital marketing. Digital marketing is what you need to do on Facebook to drive traffic, maybe some SEO, paid advertising and PPC. So there are obviously sometimes that you have to do these things yourself to be able to drive traffic to a store and make sales, while in other times you don't need to do it, and it's being taken care of by, for example, the marketplace that you are selling with. So if you're selling with Amazon, you don't actually need to do digital marketing, given that you are of course sourcing and you are working on a high demand product where people will be able to find the product themselves and do the purchase. So now guys, we have covered the 4 basic components. I'm gonna let's talk about different examples and see which components you actually need to do yourself in each one of those examples. So let's say that the first example could be an Amazon store. Okay. The second example could be drop shipping, Shopify store, and we're gonna tell you what is drop shipping in just a few seconds. The third example, let it be selling on a niche, creating one brand store, and between brackets let's do private labeling here, private labeling or manufacturing. So in Amazon, obviously, you will need to have some inventory, and you'll be simply needing to do sourcing and listing on your Amazon store. So obviously, an inventory is definitely required to be able to sell on a marketplace like Amazon. Now, operations, actually you have 2 options here, because sometimes, I mean, obviously there are, if you do an FBS, for example, with Amazon, then you don't need to do order management and inventory, because all the stuff will be stored in Amazon warehouse. which means that when you receive an order, you don't need to ship yourself because the stuff are already there in Amazon warehouse. But somehow I believe that you still need some operations here. In our case, we are selling with Souq.com, and they are also having a very big fulfillment service, which is similar to Amazon. In fact, Souq is Amazon because Amazon lately acquired Souq. So they have a service which is quite similar to the Amazon FBA. It's called Souq FBS. And what I can tell you from our experience here, because we are shifting heavily to FBS, and what I like to tell you that even if you do FBS or FBA, I believe that you still need to have some physical operations, because there are still some arrangements that you need to make on your products for special packing, and working on some kind of creating POs between you and the marketplace to arrange a delivery for them. So you still need somehow an operation, but of course it's not as hard as you being yourself and you fulfilling every single order yourself. So just something to note here. So I'm gonna say that obviously you need operations for Amazon, and maybe a little bit less operations if you go with their fulfillment service. Okay, do you need a sales channel here? The answer is of course no. So if you are not good with creating websites, or you don't like to create websites, then you can consider Amazon, because Amazon won't require you build any e-commerce store. And the last thing obviously is digital marketing, and definitely with Amazon you don't need to do any digital marketing. Let's take the other example here. So drop shipping, Shopify store. First of all, drop shipping, let's define drop shipping. Drop shipping is when you have a supplier who is willing, sort of internal agreement between you and him, who is willing or who doesn't mind to ship inventory directly to your customer when you receive an order on your store. So example, let's say I'm having a store and I'm listing, let's say 100 products, and all those 100 products I've listed from a drop shipper. And what this means is that when I'm receiving an order from a product, let's say product number 5, and let's say the customer had paid me, let's say $20. So at that point, I go back to my drop shipper and tell him, I have an order, take your cost, which is, let's say $10, and ship to my customers directly. So this is drop shipping. And usually drop shipping is associated with Shopify stores, because drop shipping is absolutely one of the easiest ways to get started online with e-commerce. And because it's like for the absolute beginners with e-commerce, then they can consider it's the easiest way to get started as well with online, because Shopify is very easy to build. So you build a Shopify store so easily and so fast, and then you simply find a drop shipping partner or a drop shipping arrangement, and then you will be able to get started on this model. So here inventory is somehow covered. So inventory, you're good with inventory, and by the way, it's a lot easier than Amazon inventory. It's a lot easier. Why? Because you are not working in a marketplace with rules. Maybe with Amazon you'll be dealing with a lot of rules and limitations and pushing, and maybe with Amazon you won't be able to do drop shipping in the first place because they have performance parameters. They won't allow you to ship orders, you need to ship orders on time, so it means that you need to have them in stock. But with drop shipping, and since you somehow you control the rules of your website, then the number of inventory which you can list will absolutely multiply like 100 times at least. So that's for the inventory. In operations, there is no operations whatsoever. no storage, no shipping. Now with sales channels, like we said, you need to build a store. It's not necessarily Shopify. It could be something, it could be WooCommerce, it could be any other, it could be, like there are many different solutions, like BigCommerce for example. It could be any store really. But Shopify is really recommended for drop shipping because it's very easy to build. Continue here, digital marketing, yes, you definitely need digital marketing for a Shopify store. Without digital marketing, there's no sales whatsoever. Now, the last example which I'm gonna give right now is a one brand store, private labeling or manufacturing. It's very obvious. Some people, they are extremely passionate about the product. It could be a beard oil, it could be, let's say, a handmade product, it could be a handmade, let's say, clothing line or whatever. So this needs manufacturing, and you need to be extremely passionate about your product. So if you don't have this passion, this crazy idea about the product, then you can't obviously launch a one brand store. With operations, definitely needs operations. If it doesn't need operations, maybe you can arrange yourself with a partner, a manufacturer, a very big supplier, but it needs a lot of experience for you to do this. So we can say that a one brand website needs operations. Sales channels, obviously, you need to build the one brand website yourself, and you need definitely to do digital marketing. So as you can see here now, there are 3 examples, but each one of those examples have different components that are required from your site to build. And if you want to ask me, how can we rate them, for example, from the easier to the hardest? So drop shipping is the easiest, so I can rate this as drop shipping stores is the easiest stores to build. Then comes the e-commerce model, and then comes the one brand website. So going back now and to wrap up this video, now you can see in front of your own eyes that at the end of the day, this list of 3 examples can even be expanded into 100 different examples. But with every single one, you will find that there are a very limited number of components. It's very simple: inventory, operations, sales channels, digital marketing. So instead of you getting lost in all those unlimited options and scenarios, just think of your personal passion, your personal capability, your personal resources in delivering inventory, operations, sales channels, digital marketing. And from there, you can filter the different types of examples, different types of models, and you will be able to reach to the perfect model, which is more suitable and the most suitable one for you. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll hope to see you soon in more videos.